Hey everyone, how you doing? What you're about to watch is an improv workshop hosted and executed in VRChat. Now, a lot of you watching this are probably part of our VRChat improv group anyway. You just couldn't make it that night, so you're watching this or going back to take notes, whatever. But I'm also expecting that probably some of you are not part of our VRChat improv group, or maybe you haven't even heard of VRChat. If you're watching this for educational purposes, or if you just couldn't make the improv workshop that night, this video's for you. I've added lots of notes up in the corners. If you're taking notes, should help you out. This isn't the usual fare for this channel. Most of my videos are just uploading the VOD straight from where I streamed it on Mixer. This time, I felt like it was different. In between the sketches, I tried to cut the fluff, the interruptions, things like that. During the sketches, I tried to keep as much as I could. So I hope you enjoy it. I know it's a long video, but hopefully very well worthwhile. If you're interested in joining our VRChat group, you can click the link in the description down below to join our Discord. There you can get information about future improv workshops, as well as sign up for our weekly improv shows on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Signups are open for about a day beforehand, and they can only hold a max of 40 people. With all that said, hope this is useful for you, and I hope you enjoy the video.
Reminder, this week is not a traditional improv. This is a workshop. And we will talk more about that when we get in there. Okay. Well, it's a shame Bursmon didn't show up for this thing.
You could tell he was bursting at the seams to get here.
Oh, Mason.
The jokes you make are all individually quantum fuck-ups.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I will just get this started. All right, thank you all for showing up to this workshop. If you're here, that means you're looking to learn something, and that's great. And I'm glad that you're all here, and so that we can impart some of what we've learned and the knowledge we've accrued and pass it on to you, and hopefully make it so that you can have a little bit more confidence going forward and playing in more games, and essentially just realize that what we're trying to do up here is make people laugh. All right, so I'm going to go over a few things. Each of us are going to be covering a different section of our tutorial here. And I will go through those right now with you. The first thing we'll be going over is storytelling, and then we'll be going over character versus player, which basically means character versus who you actually are, the person playing the character. Then we're going to go over the concept of yes and, which is something Rand will be heading up. We'll be working on teamwork and setup, and then we'll be doing general etiquette. The concept that there is no such thing as winners in improv. This isn't a game that you're supposed to win. And then we're going to end it all out with general improvisation, and then we have a fun little game at the end for everybody to play. I was asked to address one thing, and that was something that was brought up about mutes and desktop users. Now, when it comes to the improv, certain things that require you to move, of course, desktop users won't necessarily work. Things like, what's that one? Sportscasters, for instance.
Yeah.
If you're going to be up on stage, and it's not going to work for a desktop user unless you find some way to really make it work. I don't know how. When it comes to mutes, I know there was a request for more games to be directed towards mutes, people that don't necessarily talk. Problem with that is there's very little that can be done about that. Unless we did a game of props, but in which case that means that all of that falls on you, the mute, to find a shit ton of avatars that can be used as props for any given scene, which I don't even know how you can begin to do that.
They were up to 16 of them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a slippery slope, and we're hoping that by doing this, maybe we can convince you to come out of your shell a little bit and actually talk to us. Just remember that the point of our improv group is to make people laugh. Okay? That's what we're trying to do. And it's very easy to make people laugh. I don't care what anybody says. It's not an acquired skill. Anybody can make anybody laugh. It's easy as hell. We're just trying to show you how to get there within the confines of what we're doing. There will be lessons, and after each lessons, there will be a games that you are familiar with. I need you all to pay attention to the rules of the game. That is very important. Each game, except for questions. Questions is the only one. Each game has one rule. If you think about it, every game that we play has only one rule. Pay attention to that rule, follow that rule exactly, and you'll make it through each game. When the host goes from standing up here to standing here, that means it is time for you to wrap up your scene. And as always, when you want to wrap up a scene, try to end with a joke, any random joke. But as we go through the night, we built this whole thing as building blocks. So hopefully from one lesson to another, you guys will get the general gist of how things go, and it'll all work out. Okay? Great. So I'm going to pass it over to Ran, who is going to go into storytellings.
Yeah, so the general idea is that improv is really just like any other kind of acting, and every kind of acting is about telling a story. So there has to be a beginning, a middle, and an end. Like BlackRock was saying, whenever you've got, a scene that's wrapping up, you want to try to end on a solid punchline, resolve your story. If you're playing superheroes, go back to whatever the threat was that you guys were addressing, and how does that resolve? Either your superheroes save the day, or the threat spirals completely out of control and everybody just goes crazy. And they lose. It resolves. It has an ending.
That's an acceptable. Yes, it's an acceptable ending. Yes.
Right.
Just as long as you don't ignore it.
Right. Just as long as you don't ignore it.
This is lesson number 1 for a reason. When you come up here, no matter what game it is, no matter what game you're doing up here, your job is to tell a story. Whether you know what your character's supposed to be, whether you know where your setting is, it doesn't matter. You are telling a story. If at any point you stop telling that story, then you're not doing what you're up here to do. If you're ignoring what your character's supposed to do, what scene you're in, anything like that, you're not telling your story.
And part of that really is that your character should be changed by the story. Whatever is happening in there, because it's not you. You're not the one that the scene is happening to. Your character is the one that the scene is happening to. And so your character might be affected or changed or whatnot by the events that unfold in the scene. I need something you guys wouldn't want to be caught buying.
Christmas decorations in August.
Christmas decorations in August.
I feel attacked.
Candy corn.
Candy corn.
Candy corn.
I love candy corn. Go fuck yourself.
Singular pickle.
Say what?
Lime and a shovel.
A singular cucumber.
A singular cucumber.
Yeah, you always buy two because then they know that you're at least playing one of them.
Depends. Oh God! I need 4 people on stage for the alphabet game.
The alphabet game is a strong representation of proper storytelling. The only structure in it is that we have our prompt, which is Ran again.
Well, now your full prompt is going to be: you are buying used depends.
Oh gosh.
So that is the full prompt. So basically, you are stuck in this scenario. You're buying used depends. Okay, but the only constraint is that you're doing this in the alphabet game, which makes it a good version of storytelling. We got to literally get from A to Z in this story.
All right.
Great start. I knew something was coming.
I thought we were trying to go find some depends.
Could it be over here or down this aisle? I think I maybe saw it on the sign.
Don't get me started about going down the wrong aisle.
Even if we go down the wrong aisle, is it really that bad?
Flying down the aisle might be a bit of a problem.
Well, go a little faster, maybe. Hopefully we can find it pretty soon.
Hope has nothing to do with it. We'll find it when we're supposed to find it.
Oh God. I want to know why we have to go to this aisle for the used ones.
Just used stuff is all in this aisle.
Smart.
It's terrible.
Kill me if we grab 2 used. You know, if it's 2 used.
Let me show you where they keep the good stuff.
My. There's some good used stuff here?
Tails, they're playing the alphabet game.
Not any stuff that I want to think about. This already gives me the creeps.
And they're buying used
One pair of bits could be okay,
depends.
but I'm thinking more. Yeah.
Plenty for all to go around.
Oh, God.
God damn it.
Quite the haul I believe we're going to bring in today. Quite the haul indeed.
This is going to be so disgusting.
Way to go.
Sell me another one. Sell me another one.
Too many will give you a stomachache.
Oh
my God, Wall.
Stomach for it. How much do you want?
V? Oh, that's $5.
Oh, that's one of the smart ones. Holy hell.
He just threw in that little dab there.
Would you sell me exactly 5, and then maybe 2 more after that? I need one for every day of the week.
Oh.
Xanax will help with that.
You know, I would love to, but I gave the 7th one I had to Wall.
Come on, Chris.
Then I'm focusing on my happy place right now.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
So as you can see, during that story, they pretty much stuck to their story through the entire thing. They had this one thing that they had to circle. Basically, they were stuck in a position where they had to start their sentences with a certain letter. That's what the alphabet game is all about. The only thing that they could use to do that was their scene. That's why the alphabet game is such a good representation of what storytelling is. Because when you play that game, that's your only option. Is what's my scene? What line can I say next that'll bring that all together? Now, sometimes the line said before will help you too, but it doesn't always work that way. One thing I saw in that I was very proud of was PJ's, who saw that it was going a little bit towards we're just buying diapers, and then brought it back right back around again. we're buying used.
Oh God! I want to know why we have to go to this aisle for the used ones.
we're buying used diapers, okay? And that's good scene work. So I hope you all learned a little something about storytelling, and that game helped show you how storytelling is supposed to go from beginning to end. And Courtier, that was some smart choices you made during that game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
Coming up next is going to be Dioger, who's going to talk to you about the concept of your character versus your player.
Yeah, so, character versus player. It's a very important thing to keep in mind, because when you're on the stage performing, you are not you. You are the person within the story. You're a different person. Which means that, like, maybe for a joke, another character might, like, insult you or something, which you should never take personally. Because it's not directed at you, it's directed at the character. And like I said, during the storytelling bit, that character needs to grow and be formed throughout the story. You don't have too long to be with this character, so you've got to do what you can with it. Being a different character can be a number of different things, but it's like mannerisms, how you act, things that you wouldn't normally say perhaps. It could be anything as simple as putting on a silly voice. For example, when I go into this voice, I am now Miss Bodsworth the Fifth. Glorious dominatrix known throughout the world.
What?
There you go.
Hold on.
You never heard of her? She's world-renowned.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just it can be anything as simple as that. It's something that it's like Five Spitter said earlier in the workshop. It's not something to take too seriously. Like, you shouldn't be offended by your character getting, like, shit talked or anything. It's all not important to you.
Just the phrase I used was, don't think of your own dignity. It's not your dignity that's on the line, it's this character's dignity that's on the line, and you have no...
Yeah, exactly.
You have nothing to that
nothing
character
to fear.
owes you nothing, and you owe the character nothing. You just build the character as you see fit.
Yeah. If you're going to be embarrassed as that character, not as you.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay if I interject something as well, real quick?
Yeah.
For that reason, with the separation between you and your character, one thing we talked about recently is kind of wanting to get away from calling each other by the names that are over our heads.
So if you're going to talk to someone and name them by name, just call them like Steve or Jennifer or something or whatever. Ignore the name that you know them as, all of that, alright? Just be someone else.
David's mom.
I'll give you an example.
God damn it!
I'll give you an example.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing I hate doing is playing up the character of a child. I'm not comfortable doing that. However, there have been several times in this improv that I have had to do that, and I did it. And I didn't think about my own dignity or how uncomfortable it made me. I just did it to entertain. And that's the reward, is that you guys were entertained by it. It didn't matter that I was uncomfortable playing the character. It matters that you guys were entertained by the character, and I did my job to entertain you. And that's where you have to put your own dignity aside, especially in humor, to tell this story. And
exactly, it's all about getting out of your shell, because it's not you. You don't have to be in that shell. It's just like, you can say whatever you like. Normally, in everyday conversation, I wouldn't say I would fuck a dog. But you know, that sometimes happens when I'm up on the stage as a different character.
This is about things that wouldn't really happen. That's what makes it funny.
Yeah, exactly.
What if you're given a character that you don't know anything about?
That is a very, very fair point. That is a fair point. Usually in those situations, you say it out loud. And either it will be described to you in the simplest of terms, which has had to be done for me when they've requested that I play characters that were like weeb characters I didn't quite understand. And then I just worked with them, because that's what I try to do. I try to please everybody, so I worked with it. But if it doesn't work for you because you literally still don't understand or know it, we'll just change it.
If you just cannot grasp it, then it's just change it. Because if you physically can't do it, then it's not going to be funny for everyone else when you just struggle and can't do it.
Right.
I hate to say it, but it was the one thing that Oil did when he was coming here that impressed me about him. is that Oil has this very strong personality. Everyone's met him, and that's his personality. But when he got up on stage and was given an expression that is the polar opposite of him, he did it without fail and without question. And that is more or less what we're trying to focus on. Is that it doesn't like we've had other people come up on stage and we know their personality and we know that they're boisterous and stuff like that, so we try to give them an expression that is the polar opposite of that, and they don't like it, they can't handle it, and they find it as a personal attack on them. It's like, no, we're challenging you. We know who you are as a person, and now we are challenging you to go in the opposite direction. You want to try to be this brand new character. It doesn't matter if they're nothing like you. I mean, I will literally play any character as long as I know what the character is. If I don't know what they are, then I can't do it. But I'll play any character, and that's essentially the point of it.
Let's move on now to the game, which will be fixed expressions, and I need 4 people. Okay, so right now we've got the 4 people up. What we need now is some expressions for them, their personalities. What are they? How are they going to act? How is Chaotic going to act in this scene?
See, I already can see the prompt. I know what's coming here.
A right-wing everything into an innuendo. Talk show host.
Ooh, no. You are I'm going to expand on this idea. You are a very right-wing person, but you're also very flamboyantly gay.
Gotcha. I like Jones Spike, but gay.
Okay.
If you need to borrow a shotgun, let me know.
Flamboyantly. I said flamboyantly. Yes. I made that abundantly clear.
Oh, let me stand up for this.
Oh God! Now you know he's getting
serious. You've got the avatar for it at least. You've got the avatar for it at least. Anyway, Colts. What's Colts going to be?
The only thing he cares about is maintaining his lawn.
Yeah. Yes. He is serious about his lawn.
You just cannot get over the fact that you have not done your lawn at all. You just need to get that lawn done. You are going to be a very overly excited British person. You are so excited. You are so excited about anything and everything, but also he is very nice. What is Ran gonna be?
Very, very literal-minded. Takes things at face value.
Just got back from space and can't get used to it.
Said about his frozen kettle.
Okay, so basically you are Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, do you all remember what you had?
Let's review one by one. Chaotic.
I'm a very flirtatious Southern Baptist conservative, flamboyant radio personality.
I need to mow my fucking lawn.
Overly excited British person.
And I take everything literally.
Yes, and also you're from space and not quite used to it.
I want you guys to help Ran. Ran has a very difficult expression to do, whether you guys realize it or not, okay?
Yeah.
Throw in some mixed metaphors, some innuendo that Ran can work with in the scene, if you can.
Now, we've got the expressions, the scene they are playing. You've all just been trapped in a mine.
Oh joy.
You are working in a coal mine and then suddenly you become trapped. And go.
So guys,
ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the bottom of a Chilean mine. Oh, look at this man right here. Hold on. Coming to you from the Chilean mine, we're here to talk about liberals and their ulterior agendas.
Oh my god, are you a news reporter?
I don't care if it's a news reporter or what. I need to go back to home.
How is he getting any signal? Oh my god, I'm not used to this. I know I wanted to be back on solid ground again, but this oh my god.
What about the space thing?
Well, you see, folks, because of our wonderful president's new idea, we are actually trapped in this mine because of a nice wall built along the border to keep all those Mexicans right the fuck out.
Do you even have any signal? I can't imagine how the satellite is able to get any signal to you down here. How?
Wow, you're really a space case, aren't you?
No, I'm not a space case. I'm a person. The case is back in the shuttle.
There we go.
All right, listen, you left-winded prick. We have on deck with us right now this wonderful-looking, tasty-looking even.
I don't think I appreciate that.
There's no sugar anywhere.
Listen, sweetheart. You know, I am all about our new president and making America great again. But you know, you're just one thing that I wouldn't touch. I need someone with more of a man's complexion over here.
Listen. I don't want to hear you talk anymore. I need to go back to my fucking house because my fucking lawn is overgrown. And I need to trim that shit down ASAP, okay?
Well, good luck with that since we're trapped.
Garden? Oh my god, that's so exciting.
Good luck with that since we're trapped down here. But, shit, I forgot what I was gonna say.
All right, hold on.
Well, looks like the liberals have gotten to his mind as well, poisoning it with their...
I'm gonna pause you right there. I'm gonna pause you right there. Colts, I want you to try this. You are now trapped in this mine, which means there is no way for you to get to your lawn. You have to be way more upset about this.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Continue.
And yes, go.
And I thought the shuttle was claustrophobic.
All I heard was something about this man trimming some bushes or whatever, and I got totally distracted.
Don't mind me because I really need to get back home. And you getting stuck here. It's not helping with my issue of mowing my lawn, okay?
Oh my gosh, we're gonna miss tea time.
That's all your name for Brits.
That's all
That's not true. We're known for bad football players too.
Isn't it always tea time?
Oh, tea time. What a silly foreign idea. You must be one of them stupid-looking foreigners. Ugh, keep out of my country.
Oh my god.
But they're already here.
Oh my god. That's a deadly line.
That's good.
How are we gonna get out of here, guys?
Is anyone else getting lightheaded?
The only reason why I'm lightheaded right now is because I've been screaming. Over because I need to get home ASAP. Okay, you guys don't understand. Let's fucking try to look for a way to escape.
How will fucking help that? How will fucking help us get out of here?
That's a good one.
You better fucking come and help me mow my lawn, okay?
No, you're crazy. Hey, you have you got that radio thing? Can it get
Yes,
us,
ma'am.
you know, some signal to get some help?
Do you see a plug here, ma'am? Because obviously there fucking isn't. But I have an idea. The only use for this radio right now is so the liberals with their sky antennas don't get into my brain and try to convince me that being gay is not a Republican thing. Oh my god. I don't know, something about trimming that man's bushes. We'll make that metaphor again.
You know, these folders will look really nice in your garden in the future.
But he does want to get home and trim his bushes.
You don't say.
Why? What is wrong with you?
My God! Give it a second. Hold on. I see the light from above. It's Jesus. Oh, praise the Lord and Savior.
That's a floodlight. That's a floodlight. We're saved.
Okay. See.
That was amazing.
So,
that was really good. That was really good.
Yeah, it was a good representation of character.
And you all did an excellent job of it.
Mm-hmm.
My throat hurts.
So there were different
Thanks,
ways.
that
There were
was
different
fun.
things that were shown there that I think was that could be used as examples. For instance, Colt's character was very single-minded. And so the continued line over and over again, which is why I tried to say, I tried to pause and say, Colts, you got to be more anxious about this, because that's basically Colts was stuck in this thing where he only has one concern, and that's getting to his lawn. And that can be funny. That can be funny. Even he's basically stuck in one line over and over and over again, and that can be funny. Chaotic.
YouTubers doing repetition is hilarious.
Chaotic took a general character, which was conservative, that was flamboyantly homosexual, and created a character that has a backstory. Whether it was subtle or not, is obviously a very conservative. He basically went like Rush Limbaugh, Alex Jones, and then just shit him up gay, and that was it. So he created a character with his prompt.
Fucking frogs.
And then Jane had a character where Jane had to literally find every little opening they could take and did it perfectly. Took every opening they could take, even the ones that I didn't even see coming. Took those perfect little ones.
Yeah,
the fucking one. How's fucking gonna help us get out of here?
That was really funny.
And then Libby's perfect representation of British culture, which is only tea. And
flawless representation right there. Totally, definitely not stereotypical.
But that is a representation of character, where basically they made characters. Do you have anything? Want to add any more else before we move on?
I just want to add, it's always tea time.
Okay. So Ran brought it up because I didn't know this terminology at all. This was yes and. Wall, I know you're familiar with it. And Ran is going to go over the concept of yes and. So, pay attention.
So, yes and, basically, in short, just means playing along with what's handed to you. You never want to ignore what's being said to you. If you don't think you can work with it, well, you got to find a way. You have to play along, you have to agree, that's the yes. And then you have to take it further and add something else to it, that's the and. You're not literally saying yes to what's being told to you, but you're playing along. I could have sworn there were some examples here, but guess not. Actually, I'm sure there were probably some in the scene that we just did, really. Some yes and kind of moments.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Where that one at the end, as a matter of fact. Now, where he said, I see a light, it's Jesus. Rand took that, yes, there is a light. And it's not Jesus, it's a floodlight, we're saved. That's what Rand did in that situation.
Which was very good.
Yes. And that's an example of yes and.
It is alright to say no, but not in an ignoring sense. You can say no, but in a different way. Similar to how Rand did at the end.
No, that's not Jesus. It's a floodlight, yeah.
Exactly.
But he did agree that there was a light. He did not ignore the fact that there was a light.
Exactly. It's saying no, but not ignoring the situation. It is building off of it still.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing where we see that kind of lacking sometimes is when we play the game Flip. And the way flip works, we've all heard it said, quickly as it's starting up. But when the moderator or, when the host says flip, you're supposed to take the last line that was said in that first scene, and that line has now just been said in the new scene. And very often we see that just completely ignored. So you hear flip, you take a moment, you pause for a second if you have to, and you think, okay, how do I react to that line having been said in this completely different scene where it probably makes no sense? It's completely out of context of the new scene, and we have to work with it.
It's basically the idea that, as an example, you've just ordered a coffee at Starbucks, the host says flip, suddenly you're in a Vietnam War, and you've just tried to order coffee.
What do you think, that we got espresso in this foxhole? Get back in line, Marine!
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
That is the point. That was the point he brought up earlier. No butts will leave you stuck. Butts.
Yeah. Lots of butts will leave you stuck. Wait. So I need 4 people on stage for a game of flip. So, your first scene is that you are looking for a popsicle in an abandoned McDonald's. And when I say flip, you are chasing a chupacabra through central Tokyo. And the last line said before I said flip has now just been said in the next scene. Don't be afraid to pause if you need a second when we flip. If you need to clarify which line was last, because we do have to deal with lag here, ask if you're not sure. I will try to make it clear where we're doing the flip, but yeah. And action.
All right, fellas, listen up. Fellas, listen up.
Yeah.
There's a McDonald's over there. I really want a popsicle, all right?
What the fuck do you want to get a abandoned?
Man,
What do you want to get a popsicle in a fucking abandoned McDonald's? That's a fucking perfectly good one over there.
Where do you find yours?
Definitely not in McDonald's because I never have the machine working. What do you mean? It's an abandoned McDonald's.
Yes, it's abandoned, so they might not have broken it yet.
It's better than having to pay for it, at least.
I know, but at least the one that's in the fresh one, at least it's, it's fucking fresh. I mean, I'm worried it's just gonna be a melted puddle on the floor.
You don't know that. It might be cold in there.
I will have you know, I have been to many an abandoned McDonald's, and it has all been nothing but licking diarrhea piss on the floor. You do not want to get a pop.
Nothing but diarrhea and piss on the floor.
Shite.
What the fuck?
Oh, shit! It's been... Okay, that chupacabra has been this way because look at that piss on the floor, that is...
Hold on. What are you
Yeah, I
talking about?
definitely don't like this idea.
Listen, it is a...
That's
We're
my
gonna forget
piss.
losing in the crowd. Hey, we're gonna lose in the crowd when we don't get that thing. Because there's already a bunch of people here in Tokyo.
Yeah, we're not gonna track it at this. This is mine.
Wait, why are you pissing? Why are you...
Oh my god, whose great idea was it to bring a cat on this search again?
Listen, I needed my cat to
That was your
mix
idea.
Listen.
Mine idea is not over
We're trying
here.
to hunt down a blood-sucking dog. Why would I not be pissing myself? Why are you so confident?
You know what? You have a good point right there. They're scared shit. They're scared shitless.
He's true.
Anyways, let's go find this thing at least.
It's getting away.
I don't know where the hell it is. Yeah, it's getting away. We need the gates open.
Okay, guys.
Do any of you have a knife?
Guys, I have a plan for finding it.
Oh, what's your grand plan, genius?
What is that?
Oh my god.
It's a gun.
Flip.
Oh, fucking, that's fucking brilliant.
Why the fuck did you bring a gun here? We're trying to find a popsicle.
What are you expecting to find? Nah, listen, I get like when the popsicle comes alive, it's horrible and it's fucking scary, but Jesus Christ, the gun necessary!
Yeah, for the homeless people.
It might be.
Okay, actually, you've got a point there. You've got a point there. Those homeless people, they are fucking terrifying. Jesus Christ, have you ever seen a homeless person go crazy for a popsicle?
Tails, we talked about that earlier. Actually, that was while you were
It's blood-sucking, skin and
dealing
bone
with
hound. Of course
problems.
they're terrifying.
You may want to look back at the VOD.
Oh, Jesus fucking.
I'm still talking
Okay,
about
we need to at least
Afterwards,
find
of course.
find this let alone the freezer if it's still working. I don't know if the electricity is still up.
Well, at least keep that gun out, because I don't want to have some homeless person just leaping out at me going, "Hey, where's the fucking popsicle? Why are you taking my popsicle?" Even though it's fucking, piss stain on the floor. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah,
That's gonna be fucking messing up.
This will be a nightmare for the cleaner lady.
she's
Why
dead.
don't you even work here anymore?
She's dead. It's abandoned for a reason.
Flip.
Yeah, well, you have a good point right there. What do you mean who the fuck is dead?
For a reason.
Oh, she's dead. I just shot her.
How many other cats pissed on the floor here?
To find the chupacabra. See, now people are clearing out. Look, it's basically empty out here now. Hold on, there's still a couple people in the way.
Oh my God! Great! Now there's a newcaster! There's a newcaster! Now we're the Chupacabra! Now we're the Chupacabra Murder Squad! Good job! Good fucking job, you dingus! Now we're the blood fucking suckers!
You know, I knew I should have left you at home. God damn it!
Oh fuck!
I should have just left you at home. I knew you were gonna do something like this.
Oh my God!
Fuck's sake!
Maybe I should have brought the rubber
It's almost as bad as having a popsicle jammed up my ass.
Wait. I'm gonna flip on what Dioger just said.
I knew I should have brought the rubber bullets.
What the fuck did you expect? God.
For the homeless people to be more sturdy than this, they live on the street.
You know what? You have a point there. But I don't think anybody's gonna mess him.
Yeah.
Jesus, Shadow!
Honestly, it's like.
Wow!
Like, I mean, who really gives a shit about them? I mean.
Let's just dig this hole.
Anyway, let's just fucking get that popsicle. Let's get that popsicle. Oh, look! Found it! Oh, fuck, it's fucking Martin Slush. Yeah, you can fucking have it.
Thank you.
That's a stick! You just shoved the stick up in his mouth!
Well, fucking good riddance to him. Now I'm going to the real fucking McDonald's. Who wants to get something fresh?
Let's go! I'm freaking hungry.
Yeah.
I'm going home.
Who knows? Maybe you'll find a chupacabra along the way.
Oh my God!
Come on, Kitty. Let's go.
Flip once again. Good representation of yes and where that line, you are committed to that line, and you guys did it pretty well. It's the first time I've ever seen Flip done the way it's supposed to be done. All right. Next section, we're just going to jump right in. Is this all about teamwork and setting up? Chaotic's going to head this one. So, everybody listen.
Voice crack.
Alright. Teamwork. Literally 2 fucking words in the name. Team work. You work together as a team. Are we done? Can I call that? The point of this is you need to be able to work with the people that are up on stage with you, or at least kind of know what they are like. For example, that last scene that we just did, towards the beginning, it fucking hurt me inside. Because not only was everyone yelling over each other, but I couldn't understand what the fuck was going on.
Yes.
I literally have my window open right here. It's in my hand. I'm waving it around with what the problem was. But if I didn't have that, I probably would have forgotten what the fuck was happening. Another thing to remember is when you're up on stage with people, you need to include everyone. Presdan as diminutive and as dead as his eyes are, has to be in the scene.
That's the point that I would have wanted to bring up. Yes, I have tried several times to say stuff, but people around me were too loud, and I didn't even hear several times that Jane said flip. I wasn't able to say my stuff, and I wasn't able to hear stuff from the host itself. So that was very poorly.
Sorry, President.
Before we did teamwork, I knew something like that was going to happen.
Yes.
I guess I will be the example over here, but people are not exactly always loud and trying to push their point onto others. Several people, like I am, mostly trying to be nice to each other, let others speak first, and then trying to talk.
Exactly. Which leads into my next point, which is there are a lot of people in this audience, as well as in our normal improv crew, that are big personalities. I know I am guilty of stepping over a lot of people when I'm up on stage for either my own benefit or, in my mind, to move along the plot. And I am trying, with this workshop, to get that in my head, to set up others in my stance. You know, whereas I can probably move along the plot, if I set someone else up with a good prompt, they can take that, run with it, pull the plot somewhere that is better than anything that I could come up with. It's not your personal highlight reel. And what I mean by that is, when you're up on stage, you cannot think about this as you and these three other people, or however many are up here, as individuals. You are a cohesive mesh at that point. You know, you need to be able to work with each other. You need to read off of each other's body language. I know it's going to be hard because some of us are in desktop, but a good example of being able to say that you want to speak is kind of just moving forward in the scene, or like raising your hand or making some motion. That gets someone's attention.
You know what was a good example of that? The last improv we did. When we were doing scenes from a hat, and the prompt was weird times to scream. He came up on stage. Now, I've known him long enough. He came up on stage and just stood there, silently.
Hey, thanks for supporting Drax. Welcome to the channel. Enjoy the stream.
I knew what he wanted.
Thanks for the follow, Tantera.
I knew what he wanted.
Glad you're here.
Just came up and literally said, "You okay there, buddy?" so that he could scream in my face. And that was the whole point.
Yeah.
I knew that's what he wanted.
Exactly. Speaking of that,
it's about exactly.
Yeah,
it's knowing your situation, knowing your characters, and trying to read what other people want and setting them up. He gave me the room, and he told me without actually telling me, "I want you to set me up for this joke," and I set him up for the joke, and that's
it's also knowing that some players are little shits.
Yeah.
President had something to say.
Yeah, basically,
I'm reading a document here, and it said you missed something. Fucking Burstmon, or whatever the hell your name is this week.
Yeah. Which is something else I wanted to point up. About 2 weeks ago, we were doing this with Burstmon, and he totally got ignored because there were like 4 of the people in the scene, and no one wanted to bring him in. I don't know if it was definitely not on purpose, because, you know, we're not actually all terrible fucking people. I know some of us are. It goes back to what just happened with President. You know, you have to willingly and knowingly include everyone in the scene. The other thing that we want to touch on is the concept of a straight man. Now, I know there are some of you in the audience that know exactly what that is.
There was a scene a while ago where we were playing Change. And the concept for it was we were in a junkyard doing a garage sale. And when we started the scene, Shadow came in, and Shadow acted as basically buyer. And whether Shadow knew he was doing it or not, for that entire scene, he played the straight man. He didn't realize he was doing it. I don't know if he realized he was doing it, but he was playing the straight man for the entire scene, and it was the best work I've ever seen him do in the improv. I was thoroughly impressed. He basically sat up there on stage and didn't say anything that was traditionally funny. All he did was literally by being completely serious and taking everything that was given to him as serious and factual. He took that information and just said, yes, obviously that is the correct... Like when they tried to sell him used condoms, he went, used condoms. Yes, I could use a few of those. As a straight man does. And it was a perfect example. If you guys get a chance, I think I know Ran, you probably filmed that one.
Let me interest you into these pair of boxers that obviously have some shit in it.
Change.
Hey.
Sir, I think I can interest you in some used condoms.
You don't want any. And that is a perfect representation. Shadow did a perfect representation of what a straight man is supposed to do in a scene. Whether he knew he was doing it or not, he did it.
We've been talking about that specific example while we were writing up this doc for the past, what was it, week? At this point, we've talked about that example for at least 2 weeks.
To be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is no winning. I know we're going to touch upon this later, but there is no winning. The whole point is to come in here, make your teammates funny. Because if you're looking out for your teammates while they're doing the same, everybody's getting lifted up. So with that in mind, and keeping in mind the concept of a straight man, our game right now is going to be phrased.
The person in the middle, the person that is unfettered and doesn't have any restrictions, that person's job is to make the two people that are stuck make sense or be funny. They can only use the phrases they have. So it's up to the person in the middle.
So you also have to do your part as well and actually find good timing for it.
Yes, find good timing for it. So
Because
that's
the hard time about this game.
An example that comes to mind was a couple weeks back with Burstman doing the phrase, "You were up there, Captain," and he
just kept yelling at me.
He just kept yelling, "You're a really nice guy," at you.
To the point where at the end of it, he screamed it over and over and over and over and over again and would not stop.
Right. Say it within context, within the context of the scene when it makes sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, Sorry.
Before I do this, I would like to point out something. We do have a lot of mutes in our audience and in this group. I know Tails is up there, and Jack, who I see edging towards the stage, I want to point something out. Jack over here is a TTS user. Now, this game is fucking perfect for him, purely based on the fact that he can copy and paste these sentences, and that's all he's got to work with. So to have him up on stage right now would be a good idea. So, Jack, I just want you to come up here. Now, the way this is going to work is the prompt for this we have pre-decided. The prompt is first day at boot camp. Let me see. What prompts do I want you to have?
This will be good.
I don't get it. And what do you want me to do?
The second
Are you
one,
mad?
Are you mad?
And let's see. Can you say that again?
All right, I want you to line up over there. Why are you standing by yourself? Line up over there next to that fella. Go.
Can you say that again?
I said you stay right there. You stay put. You stay put right where you are. I said, get your ass over there with him. Go stand next to him. You're supposed to be in formation, son. It's your first day of boot camp. Get your ass over there.
I don't get it.
Are you mad?
Of course I'm mad. You're not listening to the goddamn word I'm saying. Get your ass over there. Jesus Christ.
I don't get it.
Of course you don't get it. You're stupid, and they stuck you with me. Now, first day of boot camp. obviously you fellas aren't going to be Marines. You know what I want you guys to do?
Can you
Do you
say
know
that
what I
again?
want you to? I said, do you know what I want you to do? Do you?
I don't get it.
It's a very simple question.
I think he forgot his other line.
Do you know what I want you to do?
What do you want me to do?
Finally, you're getting it. Jesus Christ. You son of a bitch. You didn't know how I'm feeling right now? Huh?
Are you mad?
Of course I'm mad. This person has empathy, all right? You are just a sec. All right, listen, okay? Are you listening to me? All right? Are you listening?
I don't get it.
Son, the ears in your head. I need you to hear what I'm saying and comprehend it. Okay?
Can you say that again?
All right. You are all on my good side for all of 2 minutes there. And now you're pushing it. I don't like it at all. All right? Of course I'm What do I want you to do? All right, I want you to run laps because I need you to suffer the way I'm suffering right now, back and forth. Okay? Can you do that?
I don't get it.
What do you mean? Can you believe this guy? Can you believe this guy?
Can you say that again?
You know what? All right. This is my new education tool. Okay. This is how I'm going to educate you now. All right. This is the only way you're going to make it in this man's army. All right.
Are you mad?
Of course. Shit out of both of you. I don't know what you don't get about that. Now. You're going to run laps, okay? I just want you to run laps, back and forth. Want you working them legs out, okay?
What do you want me to do?
I just told you. I want you to run laps, back and forth. Now get started, you fool.
I don't get it.
No. Just help me out here, okay? You seem to be the only person on my side. All right.
It is amazing.
Can you say that again?
20 years in the army. 20 years in the armed forces training grunts like you, and this is what they give me. They give me the poster child for. What don't you get about that? The fact that I was in the army for 20 years, or the fact that you're an idiot?
What do you want me to do?
I want you to shut up and stop being an idiot. My God. All right, listen, we're going to make this simple. I'm going to make this real simple. I want you to put one foot in front of the other quickly. Boom, 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 until you're over there. And then I want you to turn around and come back this way. Boom, 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 and get back over here. Do you get that?
I don't get it.
Oh, no. Can you
You're done. I'm done with you.
Oh my God.
We're calling it there.
I love how just for a second BlackRock didn't stop beating the crap out of him.
What I would also like to point out that isn't in our little lesson plan, if you can end things prematurely just to keep it on a funny note, instead of letting it die slowly, we'll work on that.
remember what he just pointed out there, that little tidbit. While you're up here and you're in control of the scene, you're dictating the scene. The host will pick an opportune time. It's usually time-based to come and end the scene. But if you're feeling the story and you feel like there is a way that you can end the story on a big high, you can do that. And most of the time, the host will realize that and just end the scene there. There's no reason. There's no set rule on when the scene has to end. It's just the host will end it when a certain amount of time has passed. As you can see, that was a prime example of the straight man and teamwork. Basically, we had Jack and Firestorm who were both burdened. They could only perform certain lines. And me, as the straight man, I didn't necessarily have the humor that came out of me was all because they were forcing it. And I was trying to give them an avenue to throw that line in. It was only funny because they were saying those lines. And it was my job to make them funny. And they did. I think they did a fantastic job. They got the point.
They did.
There was one time that I was trying to get Firestorm to say one thing, and he said the other, and it still fucking worked. Moving on. The next segment we're going to go into is Etiquette, which I am heading. So, here we are. Anyway. Certain things about etiquette while we're up here. We're going to go over a few of them. The first and most important thing is don't step on each other's toes. Now, I know a lot of you are new to this. I know a lot of you haven't done this before. I know a lot of you have very big personalities. However, going back into the teamwork segment, something that Chaotic had said before, when you're up here, you're as a team. You're building a story together. You all can't be the highlight reel for that. If you have one funny thing to say it and shut up. Let the next person say their piece. If somebody's having trouble, if you notice somebody's having trouble, that's the important time to interrupt somebody. If you see they're having trouble, they're a little flustered, they're not as quick with it as you are, if you can think of something to feed them, to give them something to move on with, do that. Like, for instance, just take it. For instance, when you guys were up here earlier doing fixed expressions, Libby's character didn't really have much in that story. Was kind of the odd man out. And at the beginning of that, I said, make sure you give Ran something to work on, because Ran was very stuck in a very isolated thing. But at some point during that game, it would have been helpful if anybody on that team had just turned to Libby's character and asked a question, or thought, what are your thoughts on this? Something like that.
Or mentioned Doctor Who.
Things like that. Just turning to another character and saying, what are your thoughts? Somebody that hasn't spoken yet. What do you think? Little things like that can drastically improve a scene and bring the entire team together. Just keep that in mind. Don't step on each other's toes. Don't talk over each other. Yes, there is an issue with lag. One person that suffers from the effects of lag and stepping on toes more than anybody else I've ever seen is the Ogre. Now, it's not because it's his fault. It's because he is literally separated by an ocean.
It's because I've got a 60
along with Presdan.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Colts, along with wherever Julio is, if he hasn't crashed already.
Exactly. So, when it comes to those things, there is nothing saying that you can't have pause. Like I just did right there. You have your line, there's no reason that you can't just deliver your line, pause, and let somebody else speak. Or pause and give somebody else an opportunity to jump in.
If you watch,
don't step on each other's toes.
If you watch any of those episodes of Whose Line Is It Anyway, they're never talking over each other.
Exactly.
Almost never, I don't think.
Almost never. And basically, you want to and try to involve everybody in your scene. That's Major League Etiquette stuff. Everybody has to be involved. Teamwork makes the dream work. with that, does anybody have anything they want to input? Because now is the time. This is all about etiquette. Are there any points that anybody else would like to throw in now?
One thing in particular that wasn't really touched on, one thing that probably should be, is etiquette specific to scenes from a hat. One thing I do notice with that in particular is, I mean, yeah, part of, some of it's just like the, people talking over each other, but the hit after something, like, I don't begrudge people, laughing about something, but laugh, get it out, and shut up. Or, or oftentimes where they'll keep on talking afterwards about it, or ribbing somebody or whatever.
There's a rule of thumb when it comes to comedy. Now it's a little different because it's one person after the other, where it's the laughter from the first person's joke. And I do this when I come up on stage after, like, let's say I come up after Chaotic, and Chaotic drops a joke that's a killer. Everyone's laughing. True. So now it's my turn. I come up. What I do is I stand here and I wait patiently. Who am I to interrupt their laughter and their reaction? Now, if they're talking, but that's what a comedian does. A comedian will drop a bomb, and everyone's cracking up, and they will just sit there and let it roll.
Sometimes they don't wait for it to be quiet to start their joke, and their joke kind of dies because no one heard it.
Right.
Yes. Which is another thing in etiquette. Let the crowd simmer. If the crowd is roaring from the joke before, sit, wait. Like I said before, there's no reason why you can't take a pause. Just pause. Wait them out. Understand that we're using the internet and there is a delay. Give your teammates a chance to chime in and involve every player in the scene. With that being said, the game we're going to play is everybody's favorite game, Change. And the first prompt is, you're at a yard sale and a garbage dump. I love it so much.
Bringing back a classic.
Okay. Bringing back a classic. Now, the one rule for this game, whenever I say change, the last line spoken must be changed. Here's an important part of change that I want to see you all do. I want you to make more of a change than a subtle change. Like if you say, and I'm wearing this blue hat, and I say change, and you say, I'm wearing this red hat. No, that is unacceptable. If you say, I'm wearing this blue hat, and I say change, I want you to say, I am wearing this Swedish-made penis enlarging pump on my head. That is an acceptable change. That's
Wait
just
a second.
An example. Okay? Once again, your prompt is at a yard sale, in a garbage dump. Anytime I say change the last line. Say, I will even say a name if need be. Try not to step on each other's toes. See, that's an example of a pause. Action!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, gather around. I have only the finest looking specimens, things we don't even quite. I got that off of the other pile over there. Don't worry about it. That's mine. We don't talk about this side of the desk. This is mine. Everything over here is for your viewing pleasure. Whatever else you might need, I have anything from paper clips, last year's newspaper. For some reason, you can use it for whatever you like. This nice carton of milk that has the missing child back from '89. Classic.
I know, right?
And this wonderful looking bicycle tire, let me tell you about this. It's got 7 spokes. I broke the other one off and turned it into a coat hanger. Look at
Sales.
this beautiful towel hanger. You wouldn't believe it. So what I have here, believe it or not, is what we believe to be Armstrong's nut inside of this box. It's
Jesus
not.
Christ.
How much is that?
This, let me tell you. I'm actually not quite sure. I was wondering if anybody would pick up on that and try and buy it from me.
No, I would really like to purchase that.
You would?
Yes.
How much would you like to offer?
How about, we'll start 50 cents.
Change.
We'll start maybe 75 cents.
More change. Drastic change.
You know what? $5. How about $5 for that?
You're still doing it wrong. Change.
$1 million.
Something that's not money, change.
Yeah, try and change the style of currency.
Being crazy.
How about a trade? I got this pocket lint. How about that? Pocket lint.
One more change. One more.
I'll give you my shoe.
There we go.
By golly, I could use one of those, but you know what? I do have other customers. Is anybody else here interested in this wonderful specimen I have here in the box?
I want to give you my flaming hot pink bathrobe.
Change.
My pink fuzzy slippers. Oh my god.
Alright, we'll leave it there. Pink fuzzy slippers. You're getting shoe wear.
Alright, so I have an order of a shoe, some nice pink fuzzy slippers. God, those are comfortable. Anything for you?
I got bribed here with weed. I don't know why the fuck I'm here.
Change.
I got held here against my will. They got a man on a sniper watch with a gun aimed at me. I don't want to be here. I really want to be here. Give me your best, dog.
You know what? I like it. Man of culture, I like it. I like to be here too. Obviously, I wouldn't be here selling whatever these random monstrosities you see before you on this table unless I really wanted to be here.
No, we gotta go vintage. The high quality.
Vintage.
Oh my god.
I got vintage for you. Alright, we'll get back to this in a second, don't worry. I have you two. Pink fuzzy slipper, very comfortable. I like it, stylish. Well, shoe, I definitely need one of those.
I'll throw in my other shoe if you need it too.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jimmy.
We're juicing up the deal.
Change. Firestorm, change.
I'll throw in my jacket along with it. You know what? Just take all the clothes. All of them. Just take it. I want
Whoa. Listen, I'm high as fuck, but... Whoa.
Change.
Hey, when you...
Fire spitter, change.
Listen, I may be batshit insane, but... Whoa. Easy now.
Change.
I think that's a brilliant idea. You should go for
it. More on the idea of vintage, I do like that you brought that up in that exact style, because behind me I have Terminator, but on VHS. Change. Behind me, I have... Oh, I lost track in there for a second. That scared me. Behind me here, I have the exact replica of the robotic arm from Terminator itself. In the thumbs up machine.
Aww.
Behind me, as I said before, what I have here is a blue fuzzy slipper. Careful. With that fuzzy slipper, that exact fuzzy slipper right there, you can complete whatever look you're going for here. That slipper has been with me since I first came to this garbage dump exactly 20 minutes ago. That slipper has been with me since I was born. My father gave it to me the minute I was released from my mother.
Released.
It's a story I don't want to get into. They wouldn't let me out. I was trying to break out of prison. We don't need to get back into that subject. It was cramped, but I got a slipper out of it. It's very sentimental to me. Almost as worth as much has this beautiful thing right here. I'll let you take a look at that. As we move back, I need your clothes, your boots, whatever else you're with, a nice suit. You have a pink fuzzy slipper.
Correct.
One singular pink fuzzy slipper?
I have 2.
My
Change.
God.
Change, Tari.
Shoot. I have 4.
Jeez.
More. Change.
More. Even more.
Change.
97.
20! I got like a box of 20 of them.
A box of 20, you say?
They're all right.
This changes
Hold that
everything.
Hold that thought 1 second. I'm going to open up this locker I have behind me. Alright. Let me move. Slide over the 50 pair of red.
Change.
Drop. Slide over all my motorcycle parts. Slide over the. Oh, wait a minute.
Knowing PJs, that's probably what's actually in his locker.
Exactly 20.
Exactly 20.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ow. That gives me 28. Sorry about that. That gives me 28.
Careful, you almost Nigel.
You've
Change. Fire spitter, change.
How dare you? You almost hit Kevin. Oh.
Change. More obscure name, change.
You want
We'll get through this together after I sell this nut. Not with you. How much do you believe your clothes are worth?
Probably not as much as that nut in the box, but I still want it.
You know what?
They're probably not worth anything, but I really want that nut.
Change.
I'll give you my fucking soul for that nut.
What do you have there? Not in your hands, behind it. What is that on your jacket?
this?
Yes, what is that?
It's my dignity.
Change.
That'd be my heart.
Change.
Honestly, I have no fucking clue myself. It's kind of freaking me out.
That's the end of it. All right.
Nice going, guys.
I was going to throw the box at him and steal what it was and just
cinematic universe.
run away.
You're good there, bud?
Sorry, I realized that was
You know that's his real name, right?
That whole, I was really good.
That's
why
the
I kept
joke.
you out of it. I just wasn't getting it done. So we did a lot of etiquette was really good in there, but it was mostly because you guys had listened to me, and then a lot of you had let PJs take control of that scene, which was, in my opinion, a very smart move. It's also smart of PJs to take control of that scene. But PJs didn't let himself be the star of that. He gave you guys all your opportunities to be funny. Now, Tari, what I was trying to get you to do is you kept increasing your number. Instead, I wanted you to toss in something completely obscure. Like it's like no, I don't have two of them. I have that and penis made Swedish and penis. We are going to do a second game of change, but our time is running out a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the next segment, which is there is no winning. Yes, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go into there is no winning. Dioger.
Yes. Okay, so this, in my opinion, is a very important thing to go over. That while you're playing these improv games, there is no winning. There is no winning whatsoever. They may be called improv games. That doesn't mean that there are winners and losers. We're only losers if it's not funny and people aren't enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes people enjoy it is it being funny, obviously. So to make it funny, you need to do things like working together, which we do want to reiterate. Working together to be one, one thing, to make being funny off each other. The only time that everyone is winning is when people on stage are enjoying it and the audience is making the ha-ha sounds. Yeah, so no winning. There's no winners or losers. There's only winners or only losers. And it's only losers when it's going really bad and it's not funny and people aren't enjoying it. Which I don't have too much to say on that. That it pretty much covers the whole thing.
Yes. Just remember when we all look good. When we all look good. When we're all funny. We all win.
That is when we win. Yeah.
Exactly. And that is the whole point of it. There are no winners except for the audience and you guys when you all get the laughs. When you get, as a group, you get the laughs. That's all that's important. Furthermore, the game that we're going to use to represent this is a game that people tend to have a hard time getting a laugh on because they try to play it to win. And that game is questions.
The one with more than one rule.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. Why I said questions is the only game with multiple rules. 1, do not repeat a question back to someone as if you're second guessing their question. That is just in poor taste. I hate it. I despise it. Whenever somebody does that, the question I immediately ask them is, are you just repeating my question back to me?
It's also
I do
just
it every
boring.
time I play the game. It's also
It's
boring.
just boring as well, yeah.
It's not funny.
It's also incorrect to answer the question and then follow the question. Like when they say, are you here to buy something? And you go, yes, what do you have? Don't say yes, just say, what do you have? Okay?
That's
Simple
one that
enough.
a lot of people fall on.
Mm-hmm. Also, if you find a funny line that you can say that'll get you out, say the line. You don't have to win. There's no...
Yeah, there was like one time with the giant mousetrap that me and Chaotic were constantly switching out on.
Exactly. Now you see, when I play the game, because there's something wrong in my brain, when I start questions only, I can't stop. I don't know why. I can't turn it off.
It's like a
That's why
switch.
I don't play anymore.
It don't work. It don't work.
So, I want you guys
His brain
to
is
literally...
good in a really bad way.
I want you guys to literally just have fun with it. I want you guys to continue questions until you find a point where you think, this is going to be funny, and then bail. Make it funny and bail. Have
Simple
fun
as
with it. That's it. Go ahead.
You are at McDonald's. You are at McDonald's, and the ice cream machine is actually working.
Another rule that I like to play by, and I'd like you guys to follow this rule, makes everybody's life easier. Whoever the new person is coming in, it is their job to start the next line of questioning. You understand what I'm saying? Whoever is out, the person that replaces them has to start the next line of questioning. Prez, Stan, you get to start. Yoger. I'm sorry.
Action.
Hi, how can I help you?
How the fuck is it working now? I've never. Oh, wait. Oh, fuck. Alright, go ahead, sorry.
Excuse me, what did you say again? Can you repeat?
How the fuck is the ice cream machine working?
Is it not supposed to work?
Wait, say it again?
Is it not supposed to work?
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah,
That's great, Sam. That's great.
Yeah, good job.
Hi, could I get a number 6?
With extra cheese?
And could I get an ice cream on the side?
Anything else?
Wait, the ice cream machine's working?
Yes.
Well done, Press Dan. Well done.
Could I offer you a free sample?
A sample of what?
Would you like some fries?
I'm here for an ice cream.
That's a statement.
Yeah. That's a statement.
They genuinely got him. Okay, cool.
It's a statement. All right, Stan.
What samples of gelato do you have?
The what?
Do you mean Jello?
What do you think I mean? Oh god.
Take your hand off of WASD, man.
Yes, left hand on your thigh. Put it there, leave it there.
Go ahead, Mason.
Would you like a hamburger with it? Yeah, fuck.
That's just no question. It's no
That's
question.
a question.
Good, bud.
I want a oh wait. Oh god, wait a minute, I'm blanking.
Without keyboard, I swear to God, if you don't stop moving, I swear stop moving.
What did I say? Left hand,
under control.
thigh.
Alright.
Leave it there.
Oh, this is alright. Both of you.
Do you have
Just no. I'm trying to both of you. Get back.
Get the fuck out.
So what was the order again? Wait, what are you hearing?
Do you have twist?
Why should we have twist?
Can I speak to your manager?
Okay, Karen.
Yes, how can I help you?
Aren't you the same person I was just talking to?
Don't you know we don't have enough hands today?
Ooh.
That's iffy.
Ooh.
Being in my car, how would I know that?
There we go. That's a good fire back there.
Don't you see that advertisement above?
I am in the drive-thru. On your thigh.
All right, one more.
Who are the fine people that repaired the ice cream machine?
Good job bringing it back on topic.
Hell if I know, they're godlike.
They're godlike.
So there were some pretty good examples there of just kind of
It's not winning.
Of good ending and bad timings, yes.
Exactly. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
So we're just going to keep rolling forward because
Yeah, get going, Stamped.
Getting high on time here.
And there's not much. There's not too much saying. There's not too much saying it. I think you all got the idea of it.
Okay, so we're going into the last segment, which is improvisation. Chaotic, please.
So improvisation is something that I specialize. I can say that somewhat confidently in that I literally just turn my brain off and shit just works. And essentially you need to have that frame of mind where you can literally just take something someone says and just run with it. You can think logically to an extent, but if you get too worked up or you get too deep into your own consciousness there, you will falter. Saying that,
join me in mist.
Something we have written down here is
son
don't
of
just
a
describe how
bitch.
things look, come up with something else.
That guy imported
so
mist.
The game we're going to play here is superheroes. So your job is to not so much look at someone and base them off of their avatar, which is hard to do in VRChat because that's literally all we are given about someone. Your job is to come up with something interesting, come up with something new, something fresh. And you are supposed to develop your character and the scene and intention of everyone's motives here on the spot. Like, you are given no time in your mind. First thing you'd go with, run with it, take it somewhere else. I know a while ago I was fucking Captain Walmart. My whole thing was I was fat, I rode around an electric scooter, and I shot a shotgun.
Yeah, that's legendary.
Of your character, you are supposed to, the minute you step up here, just pick something from the back of your mind and literally just, that is it. That is who you are now. Is there anything else that I'm missing?
No, I think that's it. I think that the best way for you guys to ingratiate yourself into this is that we will play superheroes. We're going to ask for some volunteers. And the volunteers who get up on stage will all use this avatar. Every single one of you. To literally keep you from seeing anything other than what you can imagine.
The prompt here...
No, don't get the prompt. Come up with the superhero name first.
True. I could be really mean.
Do it.
Captain Backwards.
What? What?
Perfect.
Alright, so the prompt of this is dyslexic zombies have risen and want to be Bryans. About that is while we're writing this down, BlackRock literally asked, "How do we spell dyslexic?"
I remember that.
I was trying to think of a prompt, and it popped into my brain, and I was like, "Yes, that is hysterical. How do you spell dyslexic?" And then I realized immediately how stupid that was.
It popped into your Brian.
Headed by our wonderful superhero, Captain Backwards. Scene.
Oh man.
All right, wait. Oh, I'm sorry. I got everything backwards. All right, I'm here. I'm ready to face these. Is it Brian's? No, it's zombies. I don't know. They told me it was. They told me it was Brian's, and they said they were eating zombies. How the hell was I supposed to? They're supposed to stop. Wait, no. We're supposed to stop. God.
So backwards. You literally gave him a character that is him.
I can't help it. Jeez. This is a major problem here. I need my friends need to call me. Wait. Oh I need to call my friends. Twinkle Pinkle, I need you.
What?
Twinkle Twinkle.
Twinkle Twinkle.
I wish I was Twinkle Pinkle.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too, backwards man. Do you got your hands in a pickle?
A lot? Wait, a little. How can you situate this or something? We got brains eating zombies. Wait, no, zombies eating brains.
Even Brian's.
But wait a second. The Brian's
Oh god, yes.
No, from what I could read of my glitterly like letter here, the zombies don't know how to spell.
I think you might have been
Brian's are
beaten by
doomed,
zombies.
yes.
Interesting. Anyways, apparently they need more, or we need more. Damn it!
He's playing so naturally.
I think I know.
Can your friends call upon you? Wait, no. You call upon your friends or someone.
Definitely. I grab a pouch of sparkles and I throw it and yell, Captain Yanya.
Yanya, Captain.
Yes, it's Captain Yanya. I heard you were having trouble with some dyslexic zombies that want to eat some brains, you backwards idiot. I know you're having problems with it. Nya, all right?
I know. I've been having problems with it.
Anyway, Pinkle, listen, I know we've been friends for a long time. What are you doing working with this fool? We can deal with all these zombies by ourselves. Nya. All right? So,
Excuse me, you can just wait.
do.
I can work just fine.
Wait. See, you're doing it again, you backwards idiot. I don't even know why we're having this conversation. Listen, I know what we can do. We're going to call ahead. We're going to call my personal friend, smartest person I ever met. It's Mr. Bounces Up and Down and speaks in Morse code. Come on over here. Come on.
Bounces down Morse code, huh?
Yes, yes. Okay, yes. All right. Now I know you don't read Morse code, but I do.
Be careful,
and my
Jimmy.
friend just bounced up and down and told me you're a
Breathe.
backwards idiot. I know,
Breathe,
right?
Jimmy.
I've been saying that.
Slow breaths.
What do you mean you're backward? Wait, what do you mean I'm
Okay,
backwards?
stop. I'm gonna stop it right there. You can't call people that anymore. Okay, I'm gonna need you to stop. No, I don't care if that's how you talk.
Fuck it now. We need to situate this because
Yes.
this.
All right. Bouncing up and down and speaks Morse code, man. Listen, we have a problem. All right. There's dyslexic zombies, okay, and they're eating Brian's. All of the sweet, lovely Brian's, Now, me and Pinkle over here, we have a plan. We're gonna ignore all of this for a second. What do you think that we should do? You don't think? How many? We didn't even get a badger this time of day.
Why am I
talking? Well, just calm down. Keep going. I'm not even old enough to rent a school bus. What does Swedish enlarger mean? I don't even understand that. I understand. Okay, yes, some of his backwards is rubbing off on you. You meant the other thing. I see what you were doing there. Okay. All right. So first of all, essentially what he said is, okay, he said that we need to fill a school bus full of badgers, okay, and then something about getting him a penis enlarging pump made from Sweden. But the thing about it is, I think that he may have gotten bit by the zombie, and now he's dyslexic too. And I think we should all fucking run for it. Okay, I'm running for it.
Badges for buses. Got it. Wait a second.
Just wrap it up.
You don't understand. Wait, I don't understand what you mean, man.
We're done.
Oh my god.
Alright. Are you terrible?
We love you, Shadow, but you play this.
Here's the thing. I was like, okay, Tails really wants to
It
do
took me a
something.
sec to get into the
What can Tails
mindset.
do? I said, well, he can jump up and down. What will jumping up and down get me? I was like, well, if he's spoken Morse code, and then that was it. I was like, okay, he's speaking Morse code.
Nice.
Yeah, I would just like to say, Shadow, you played that character fucking impeccably. That was hilarious.
I'm gonna say this, and then Chaotic's gonna take it over. Okay, Tails, you are not required to do this next thing for obvious reasons. Okay, everybody else that is here, including myself and Chaotic, is required. Sorry, you are all required to do this. This is your final test. Chaotic.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the past couple of weeks now, we have liked to end on one certain game. One game in particular. Sorry, Shadow's ripping off on me.
I didn't know I had that much power.
It's a game that everyone participates in. It's Scenes from a Hat. However, like we said, everyone here must participate. And as an added addendum, I believe we talked about this as well, we only get one joke each.
You get your one and you're done. We're going to give you the prompt. You go up, you do your one, and you are done. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be particularly funny. We just want you to stretch this muscle. That's it.
Okay.
Exactly. This ties together everything. Hell, we have people that literally, Bursman, that bring people up here just because they work better in a team. And that's one thing that I do like about Bursman, is when you put him with someone else, he will work with them. So, without further ado, I believe I can go into the game now. Inopportune times to start a USA chant. So, as I'm already up here, dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to celebrate the union between this man and this woman. USA! USA! USA!
Fuck. Damn it, now I need to think of something else.
Sorry, Mrs. Johnson, but your husband did not survive the heart surgery. USA!
Let us all pray and give thanks to the Lord for the USA! USA!
It happens every time in church.
Reaper, come here.
Now listen, we gotta be real careful about this. We got invited over here. We're on good terms. Mr. Kim Jong, good to meet you. USA! USA!
Let me open this beer. Let me open this beer in church real quick. Is that a beer? USA! USA!
First of all, Mason, we said inopportune times.
Oh my god!
DJ, can I have you over here? I can't exactly scream right now. It's fucking 6 a.m.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, you'll get when you need to. Finally, 3 fucking hours later, the baby is asleep. Can you believe this?
Honey, I want a divorce. USA! USA! And Tails has got one,
Tails.
and give me just 1 second here. I will go invisible so that you can just think that it's him. Who would do such a thing? USA! USA! USA!
So you're telling me that we started the next world war over resources, petty issues, and religion? USA!
Aquí estamos en la ceremonia para el nuevo presidente de México, USA.
Did everybody go up?
I think
I'm looking
everyone
for-
went. The wrong response to "I love you."
Oh no.
Would you like fries with that?
I love you. USA! USA!
You know, that's funny. That's what my mother said to me.
Aw, I love me too.
You know, it's sad because I've used that one.
Oh, you love me. How many pink slippers is that worth?
I love you. You love I?
Go ahead, Tails. Run up. I'll go with you.
I love you. Yeah, sure, whatever.
I love you. Oh, you can have your penis made Swedish enlargement pump back. I don't need it.
I love you. Oh my god, no, I didn't bring a condom.
You know what? Because this joke wasn't made yet, I love you. Flush.
Before we did this, I said I wasn't going to do that joke for this whole thing. So feel free to take it, Prince.
Hell yeah.
Did you guys notice Tails run off the stage when he did that joke?
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, Reaper. I'm sorry.
I love you. Uh-huh, and what was the important thing you wanted to say?
I love you. Tax benefits.
Oh man.
Working visa, eh?
Okay, yeah.
I love you. Thanks.
Ooh.
Straight and to the point, like it.
Crap, I can't think of anything.
I love you. Okay, tell me the truth. Did you lose a bet?
It's not funny.
What's up, One Up? How you doing?
You love me. Oh no. Are you sure about that?
Are you sure about that?
I love you. Aw, I love you too.
Go ahead, Tails. Do it.
As a friend.
Okay.
Not again!
All right, Tails got his. Here we go.
I love you. Wait, but it's opposite day.
Fair.
I love you, but little Billy, I'm your teacher, not your mom. Or, I don't know.
Alright, come on, Fire Spitter.
Sweet home Alabama.
It does not have to be good. Don't feel obligated for it to be good. Go ahead.
I love you. Well, fuck you too.
Oh my god. Can I throw in one from my chat real quick?
It only counts as one person. Go. I'm not
From-
gonna make that joke. I
it's-
can't make that joke. That's 3/5.
It's from Jimmy Bags. I love you. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
Bags joke right there, yeah.
Tell him to stop being in my DMs, then.
Tell him to get back to his
We
yipping
got time
later.
for one more, literally, yeah.
We literally got time for one more. All right.
Which one
Okay.
do you want to do?
I'm gonna do the last one. Times when eeny,
Okay.
meeny, miny, mo is not the best form of selection.
Okay.
Eeny, meeny,
Oh, God.
miny, mo. USA! USA! USA!
Damn it.
Okay, so here's the criminal lineup. Just pick the person who committed the crime.
That was chaotic. That was chaotic, Jimmy.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Alright, yeah, you with the bad shakes. I want you to do my vasectomy.
Oh my god.
Listen, we got a bond to take care of here. We got 6 wires. Which one is it? Eeny, meeny, miny,
no.
mo.
That was the one I had. Hate to see it happen.
Gotta sit on it and think.
Okay, we can't afford to take care of all of you, so we're gonna give one of you up for adoption. Eeny, miny, mo.
Oh man.
That's good.
Alright, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Congratulations, Mr. President.
Oh my god. I don't think so, Tails. I don't think so.
Hermione, what does this all mean? Well, Harry, there's 2 bottles of wine, there's 3 bottles of poison, there's one that'll take us through the flames and one that'll take us back the other way. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Oh god.
Was that a fucking reference to the first book?
Yeah. So I messed up the lab reports, and one of you has an STD. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Oh, I remember.
Okay, you have to take huge responsibility here. You have the power to shape destiny and the universe itself. But be very careful who you pick. Don't worry, I know what to do. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Oh, no.
Not the group button.
All right. This is going to be a high-pressure job with a great deal of responsibility. I'm not sure which of you is right for the job, but I know how to pick. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
So serious.
I know, I like how serious it was.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Kortrijk, come here.
Are you serious, Jimmy?
Come on,
For real?
Here, hold my beer.
Thanks.
I am Grognak, conqueror of worlds. Well, Grognak, how do you choose which worlds to conquer? I shall show you my glorious ways. Meeny, miny, mo.
Nice. Good.
Alright. One of you 4 broke my favorite Game Boy. And I don't know who it is, so I'm afraid I might have to choose. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Okay, I'm gonna break your legs.
Oh, Jesus. Gotta catch 'em all.
As Tails going up? I don't believe so.
No, not for this one. Last one.
All right, go ahead, Tailsies. Go.
Oh, damn it. I'm in a Saw movie. Oh, I need to pick a door. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
All right,
Yeah, that's
there we
everyone.
go. That is everyone. How about it?
Coming.
I
Eeny,
hope
miny, mo, there we go.
You guys all learned something tonight. And I hope that next week you will join us for a traditional standard improv. I think next week PJ's is back to hosting. I hope this gives you all a little bit more confidence about coming up and joining the games. It'll be I'd like to see more of you participate in the game.
Glad you caught it,
It'll
Jim.
be a lot of fun.
Next week I'll have
Yeah. Woo!
And I can't wait to see you all there. I hope you all got something from this. We will do this again at some point in the future. And tell your friends if they're interested, and we'll do this again in the future.